Hey folks, it's Sandman once again. Welcome back to another review. And I would say this is one of my favorite Van Damme films, personally. And that is Death Warrant. Now, Death Warrant, this has no features, just has a trailer on it. Most Van Damme films have nothing on it except maybe Universal Soldier. I'm talking about his earlier films. Which I did not... Well, at least this is widescreen. Some of his films were not even widescreen. Kickboxer is not widescreen on DVD. You had to buy a Blu-ray for that. Same with some of his others. Time Cop. Thankfully, I do have the Blu-ray of that, which is widescreen. But Death Warrant, there's a couple people involved with this, which is pretty cool. Not only because Jean-Claude Van Damme, who had done films like Bloodsport, Kickboxer, Cyborg, this came out in 1990, and he was on the rise. He's one of those action stars on the rise. Same with Steven Seagal. I know him and Steven Seagal have this rivalry still to this day. And like Van Damme's trying to bury the hatchet, and Seagal, he doesn't give a fuck. But I know he would do another prison film called In Hell, which I like that film, but they're two completely different films. This is more of an action film. In Hell is much more of a drama. And after my birthday, May 25th, which I'm going to review that film, Hard Target, my favorite Van Damme film, I'll probably take a couple days off and continue with the Van Damme movie reviews so I get to all of them. So I'll probably do that because I've been having a lot of fun watching these Van Damme films. It's been a fun month so far. And like I said, this is one of my personal favorites. Because, yeah, I like the idea that he's in a prison. And he's a cop who goes undercover. And at the end of the day, you find out it's to deal with organs that are being... People are being killed who have no diseases, who are drug-free. And they use their organs, sell it on the black market to save other people's lives. And by the third act, you get the bad guy, the Sandman, Patrick Kilpatrick. Bring me a dream, Burke. Bring me a dream. There's a lot of stuff I like about this film. I'll get more into the plot. It'll be more of an in-depth review because, again, this is one of my personal favorites. I've said that 3 times now. Duran Serafian directed this. I'm like, that name sounds familiar. He's the guy who directed Gunman, which starred Christopher Lambert and Mario Van Peebles. And I like that film. I think it's an underrated movie, Gunman. He also directed Terminal Velocity, which is a Charlie Sheen film I have fun with. He directed episodes of House MD, which is a show I really enjoy. So Duran Serafian, I like him as a director. I mean, that's 3 films and episodes of a TV show I enjoy. It's produced by Marc Dessau. Now, Marc Dessau directed The Perfect Weapon, which came out about the same year as this. I think it was the same year as this, 1990. A lot of great films came out in 1990. I mean, Jacob's Ladder, The First Ninja Turtles, Predator 2, Total Recall, The First Power, Tremors, which I think was January of 1990. Just tons and tons of great films came out in 1990, and this is one of them. But Marc Dessau, I believe, directed, if I remember, sometimes my memory isn't the best, Kickboxer. And he produced some of Van Damme's earlier films, had a hand, I believe, producing Bloodsport. He produced this. Written by David S. Goyer. Yes, the same David S. Goyer who would write the Blade films and direct the 3rd one, who would write Christopher Nolan's Batman films. Yes, he started out writing films like this. I believe he wrote Demonic Toys and Kickboxer 2. That's how David S. Goyer. This might have been his first film he wrote. And honestly, it's my favorite film he's been a part of. I enjoyed Blade 1 and Blade 2 a lot. But I'm a Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, and if I had to pick, this is my favorite. It's definitely fucked a little better than Demonic Toys. Fucked a little better than Kickboxer 2. And yes, I would rather watch this than Christopher Nolan's Batman films. That's my prerogative. If you disagree, oh well. I'd rather see Van Damme kick the shit out of the Sandman. Welcome to hell. And Van Damme just kicked the shit out of him into a boiler. That's my kind of movie. Music by Gary Chain. I thought Gary Chain did a great job with the music. The opening titles feels like a horror film with the way his music plays out. And then it becomes more of an action store, but I like the way the film opens. It does sound like dun, 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 almost as if it was going to be in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And in the boiler room, I know there's a funny edit, Freddy versus Van Damme. They use a lot of clips from Death Warrant. And it makes sense. Van Damme fighting a guy in a boiler room who's hard to kill. He's fighting Destroyer. That prison film Destroyer, that horror film. But Derry Chain also did a great job not only with those bits, the more serious, again, it sounds like a horror film aspects of the score, but the action bits. I always remember the end fight between Van Damme and Patrick Kilpatrick, who's the villain. He's been in a lot of films. He was a villain in Derry Daniels' Riot, Standard Cop 2, A.T. Standards, The Showdown. Look up Patrick Kilpatrick. You see him in a lot of movies. But that end fight and the music. I did a shitty job on it. Just look up the score. It's on YouTube. Burke versus the Sandman, Part 2. Well, actually, Part 1 and Part 2 of the score. But Derry Chain, he also did a lot of films. I'm like, wow, he did the score for Firewalker, which is one of my favorite Chuck Norris films. He did the score to True Lies and Did he do True Lies? I have to look it up because I might be mixed up with someone else. But I don't think he did the score to True Lies. He did the score to. God, I know there was something else. He did Firewalker and he did Dead Bane, and I believe he did The Perfect Weapon. I think that's what I'm thinking of. So I know he did Firewalker. I know he did Dead Bane, and I should have looked this up beforehand. But when I looked up on IMDb, I'm like, wow, this guy's done scores for a lot of films. Under Siege, he did the score for. Yeah. The score for 52 Pickup, Firewalker, Dead Bane, Miami Blues, Death Warrant, The Perfect Weapon, Under Siege, Sniper, Full Eclipse, which is a TV movie that I like, Nowhere to Hide, which is another TV movie I've heard of, The Substitute, Double Team, another Van Damme movie. He did music for that TV miniseries Rose Red and Kingdom Hospital. So he's done quite a few scores to films that I remember, especially this one, Dead Bane, Firewalker, Under Siege. So I thought he did a great job with the score. And I thought the look of the prison looks great. The oranges and the blues, and I thought some good atmosphere for this prison setting. Definitely think the DP, Russell Carpenter, helped with that. Because I was looking at Russell Carpenter, and he's done photography in quite a few films as well. I believe he was the DP on Hard Target. In fact, if I look on it, Director of Photography, Russell Carpenter, right there on that poster. The nice guy named Blaine sent me. And I'll talk more about that when I talk about that movie. But he was the DP on True Lies. I think that's why I was thinking True Lies. So Russell Carpenter has done some pretty good photography on films. Like I said, Hard Target, True Lies, as well as this one. In fact, he might have done The Perfect Weapon as well, Russell Carpenter. I could be wrong, but he might have been the DP on that as well. So, I mean, written by David Goyer, who would go on to write the Nolan Batman films, the Blade films, which I enjoy the first two, and he directed the third one. Mark DeSalle produced it, who directed Kickboxer, and he'll produce films like Bloodsport. Directed by the guy who did Gunman, which I like, Terminal Velocity, which I don't mind. Yeah, Robert Gulami, co-starring. I know he was in another good action film called Wanted, Dead or Alive with Rutger Hauer. Yeah, Cynthia Dibb, who I believe Cynthia Dibb was in the First Power. Is that what Cynthia Dibb was in? I should have looked this up before, but I had this in my head, but I just want to make sure. It's Cynthia Dibb. I know I should have looked it up beforehand, but I just want to make sure. And I might have gotten the wrong one. I might be thinking of another movie that she was in. Sorry, I know it's silent, but I just want to make sure. This is going to be a longer one, because this film deserves it. Because I know I've seen her before in films. Jack's Bat, that's what I was thinking of. She was in Jack's Bat, not The First Power. Jack's Bat is the film I was thinking of. And Short Circuit, too. So she was in Jack's Bat. That's the movie I was thinking of, not The First Power. That's Tracy Griffith, I believe. But anyway, been 10 minutes of marveling who was behind the scenes and such. Let me get into the film itself. Like I said, I like the way it starts. The score sounds like a horror film. You have Jean-Claude Van Damme as a cop named Burke. And I like the fact he beats the shit out of these muggers right from the beginning of the film. He finds his dead body, and he gets beaten up by this guy named the Sandman, this killer. Shoots the motherfucker many times. Guy goes down. He gets another job where he goes undercover in this prison, looking into these deaths. And at the end of the day, you find out that the deaths are, the guards are involved, and certain prisoners are involved. They work together for this doctor. So people who are in the best shape kill them, get their organs, sell them on the black market for people who need them. And they don't want to get through the red tape. But Van Damme goes undercover. One of the bad guards is Art LaFleur. Art LaFleur. You've seen Art LaFleur in the Blob remake from 1988. He was in Trancers. Some of the Trancer films. Art LaFleur has definitely been in quite a few films. He was in Cobra as one of the guys, along with Andrew Robinson, who was sort of the boss of Sylvester Stallone. Van Damme gets his cellmate, and I know that his cellmates looked familiar, and I'm like, that's Conrad Dunn. And you're like, who the hell's Conrad Dunn? Well, if you remember a comedy called Stripes, he was the guy who they would call Psycho. He would have the switchblade, no one messes with me, and you know, my name is Psycho. Don't call me Clarence. I believe that was the name. But he's the guy with the switchblade who wants people to call him Psycho in Stripes. He's the cellmate. And I always remember this scene because Van Damme, the guy suggests that Van Damme should suck his dick, and Van Damme pushes him against the wall. He's like, listen, I don't pay, I don't punk. The guy's, okay, man, I'm just kidding. I was just joking around. You don't have to get, have a bug about it. And he's in the mess hall and realizes he could have an ally, Robert Gulami. Like I said, this actor, Robert Gulami, I forget what TV show he was famous for. He was famous for a TV show. And I'm sure people will tell in the comments what TV show that was. Or, it'll be on IMDb anyway. But I've spent enough time on that. But I remember him from Wanted Dead or Alive in this film. But this guy's fucked with him, and Van Damme does his great helicopter kick on the guy in the mess hall. And Art LaFleur comes in because he's an evil guard, and he's fucked with Van Damme, and Van Damme says, is that a threat? The guard says, no, that's a promise. And then when he's mopping up, he gets in another fight. You have Al Leon, another guy you've seen in a lot of films. Al Leon was in Big Trouble in Little China. He was in Die Hard. He was in quite a few films, Al Leon. He had a bit role in I Come in Peace. Him and this other guy gets in a fight with Van Damme. Van Damme fights him off. Throws one guy's head into the laundry, the dryer that he's at. Fun, decent fight. I like these old type of fights where the camera's in one spot, it's well edited, if their slow-mo is used in the right way, it's not overused, it's not underused, they knew how to film fight sequences. And again, I like the way the prison looks. It's oranges and certain blues, and I think it's lit well. I think, again, the DP did a good job making the atmosphere of this prison. And there's certain weird things. For example, he has to get some information. He talks to this guy named Priest. is this guy with these weird eyes to him. And he has sort of this harem in the basement, and sort of a drag queen underworld. And it's like, oh, are they women? No, those aren't women. Those are men dressed up as women. And the guy who played Priest, I thought he did a good job. He definitely had a presence with some really creepy, crazy eyes. Kind of like how Meg Foster has those crazy eyes. He had, not the same type of eyes, but still some crazy eyes. But I thought he actually did a good job, and he actually becomes an ally, not just a typical villain. So that was pretty cool. I thought the actor did a good job. And another funny scene, and I'll mention why it's funny to me, is Van Damme goes to look at these records, and a guard comes in. Robert Galami's trying to stall, and they do a scene that you would see repeated in Spider-Man by Sam Raimi. What I mean by that is there's a scene where your hero is hiding above, and blood is dripping down, and Robert Galami pushes a cup of coffee or whatever it is so that the blood drops into it. If you remember in the 2002, was it, film Spider-Man, there was a scene where Spider-Man was up top, the blood was dripping down, and that's how Willem Dafoe found out some shit. So I'm like, wow, that scene seems familiar, and I thought it was done better in this. Done before Spider-Man. But you have some people on the outside, Cynthia Gibb, who was in Jack's Back. I thought she does alright here. She needs to get help, get into these files. You have this nerdy Star Trek fan type of hacker with glasses. The actor's Joshua John Miller. And I went, this guy seems familiar too. He's the little kid in Near Dark, who was a vampire. So even though he looked like a kid, he was much older than his looks appeared. But he's the little vampire kid in Near Dark, and he was also in Class of 1999 as a friend to the lead guy. The lead guy who was in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, his buddy is Joshua John Miller. And he did fine. I mean, he was supposed to be a nerdy hacker, and he's young, but he has the house for Cynthia Gibb, and she says, stop it. But yeah, I thought it went at a decent pace. This film is less than 90 minutes long. Especially if you take out the end credits. It's less than 90 minutes long. So I thought it went at a good enough pace. It never got boring. I like seeing Van Damme in the prison setting. I liked In Hell as well. I'll review that sometime down the road. But this is more of his classic action film type. And it's not wall action, but I thought in between, the prison setting was nice. Good, colorful cast of characters. Again, Robert Galami was nice. Art LaFleur. When Patrick Kilpatrick comes in, that was cool. As the Sandman, he's still alive, and they got him there to fuck with Burke, but we're not there yet. But, and then you find out that there's a hit list of body parts. And of course, Van Damme's number is next on the list. And one night they try to kill Van Damme, and instead they kill the Conrad Dunn, his cellmate. They beat the shit out of him, put him in solitary confinement. There's this one guy, which I forget the actor's name, but I've seen him in a bunch of films, who kind of sort of helped Van Damme out. He gets burned alive. Nice practical burn effect. And I thought that seems like they were filmed well. The way the match was lit in slow motion, you just see it strike. The guy screaming. And then when the guy's burning up, it's on the outside, you actually see the guy trying to punch through the glass. So you see an inflamed arm punching against the glass. Little things like that just make it stick out more. The fact that, okay, you don't be on fire. Not only are you going to be on fire, you got to punch this glass as well. I thought it made it seem a little bit more like, ooh, shit. Now, the romance between Van Damme and this girl, Cynthia Gibb, you don't buy because they don't know each other for that long, and Van Damme must be really horny because they put him in one of those, what the hell you call it, one of those trailers so you have some fun time, and they have sex. And again, the little love bit you don't buy, you don't really give a fuck about, but it's not in it too much. One thing leads to another, and again, new guys brought in, the Sandman, and you have this scene where they get Van Damme and they chain him up in the shower, and Patrick Kilpatrick cuts him, and that's who says, "Bring me a dream, Burke. Bring me a dream." And Patrick Kilpatrick is a great character actor. Again, if you look up his IMDb page, he's been in a lot of films, Patrick Kilpatrick. And I would say this is my favorite role he's done as the Sandman. He's not in it a lot, but when he's there, he makes an impression, which is what a villain should do. And a little bit with Cynthia Gibb, she finds out the guy who's really behind it. It's this guy who she knows. And, oh, he did it because his wife was sick and there was a waiting list that was too long. He couldn't get ahead of it. And, hey, they're just criminals. And then his wife comes in and finds out what's going on. And the guy's shot and his wife has this other shot to look on her face. And it cuts away. So you get the idea of what's going to happen. But that's really the little plot that we didn't, as an audience member, you don't really give a fuck about. You're more interested with Van Damme in the prison. So thankfully the film doesn't spend too much time in that. But I like the Van Damme takes his cellmate's radio and hooks it up to the door so that one of the asshole guards touches it and Van Damme fries his ass. He gets out. The Sandman opens the door so the other inmates get out. And Van Damme gets caught by Art LaFleur and some of the other evil guards and prisoners. And Robert Gulami, as well as that priest guy, help him out. And he did some nice little bits of action. Van Damme fucks this guy up with his leg. Looks like just fucking just breaks his neck or breaks his face till he's dead with his way his legs were. Back in the day, Van Damme's legs were. Fights this other guy, this big motherfucker with looks like a type of mohawk, who's trying to kill Van Damme with this giant barbell. Now, it looks like Van Damme grabs his nuts, which, hey, in a real fight, you gotta do that. And fucks him up with a barbell. Fucks his shit up. Robert Gulami gets shot. The priest guy shoots Art LaFleur, saving him. And Robert Gulami's like, yeah, get him out of here. Get Burke out of there. And priest gets killed by the same man. You get a great, entertaining finale where you have that classic Van Damme, come on! Boom, wrench hits him in the face. And granted, is the fight as epic as Bloodsport or Kickboxer? No, but I still have fun with this fight. I still really enjoy this fight. The Sandman tries to kill him with the saw that's coming towards him. Van Damme switches it and ready to fuck up Sandman. Sandman gets a broken light bulb, slashes Van Damme. Van Damme kicks out of his hand. And you have that classic old school editing, which I know a lot of folks don't like. I know there's a more popular guy, Oliver Harper, who does reviews. I know he's not a fan of that editing, but I enjoy that editing, where it's a repeat, pa, 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 ya, ya, ya. Sort of 2-3 times repeats from certain angles. I like that. It gives more of an intensity, more of a power, more of a, yeah, it makes the fight scenes longer, but I don't need 20-second fights. If it makes it more power or more of a beat rhythm to the music of this fight, I appreciate that. And they're just fighting each other back and forth. And I just love this scene where he opens it, the Sandman, welcome to hell, and Van Damme does that classic jump kick. Da-na-na, da-da-da, da-na-na-na-na-na, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-na-na-na-na-na-na, right into the fucking boiler. It's like, yeah, shirtless and all. Sandman comes back out, all on fire, gets himself out. And Van Damme does another kick. Sort of kiss my ass kick. So the back of Sandman's neck, right on this sort of, I don't know what you call it, pole. And then Sandman goes, "You can't kill me, Burke. I'm the Sandman." As Van Damme says, "Fuck that." Pushes his head in. And then when he walks off, the prisoners who were watching back off and say he just kicked up the Sandman. Gets his respect. Comes out, kisses the girl, end the movie. I find this to be an entertaining movie. I thought the fight scenes when they were there, they were well choreographed, they were fun to watch. It was old school, classic Van Damme-age. Patrick Kilpatrick, I thought he made for a worthy villain, memorable villain. I liked the idea behind the film, Van Damme action film in a prison. I liked the lighting of the film. I thought Russell Carpenter did a good job. With the entire movie, beginning the lighting, especially inside the prison. Some nice actors, character actors, like I said, Patrick Kilpatrick, Robert Gulami, Art LaFleur. I like the score by Gary Chain, whether it be the more horror type beginning of the film, at least the opening titles, the bits of it. And throughout the film, I thought he did a good job. And the action bits in the finale and the last fight. I like this LA Times, no holds barred action succeeds on all counts. I didn't believe that. But yeah, I enjoy this film. I thought it's an entertaining film. It's a fun film. Bring me a dream, Burke. Bring me a dream. I know I've said that more than once, but I thought such a great quote. I love Death Warrant. I think Death Warrant is a worthy film. I think there's a Blu-ray of this and a 3-pack with Cyborg and another movie. I don't know if I'd ever pick that up because there's nothing on it, and you pretty much have 3 movies on one disc, so what's the point of that? And again, no features. But again, really none of his older films have features except Universal Soldier. I know I repeated that, but it bears repeating because it's bullshit. These films made money. They cost 1 or 2 or 3 million, and they made like 10 times their budget. But it doesn't mean jack shit. And this was, I don't know what company released this. It says MGM here with the lion. For some reason, I thought it was Universal. For all I know, it was Universal. I went to MGM, but I thought it was Universal. But who gives a shit? Both companies don't give a fuck about Van Damme. Just sad but true. But Death Warrant, I've said this 5 times now, but it bears repeating. Fuck it. Made this review as long as possible because it deserves it. No one else talks about Death Warrant. At least not in a positive way that I do. It deserves it. So, yeah, one of my personal favorite Van Damme films. They don't make movies like this anymore. I'll tell you one thing. I like this more than the State Plan with Schwarzenegger and Stallone. And that probably had 50 times the budget this had. Or at least 20, 30 times the budget this had. It was much more satisfying viewing. And not because of nostalgia. Because there are films you watched back in the day that don't hold up. This, to me, does. I'd rather watch this film any day of the week, month, or year than that boring-ass movie, A State Plan. I'd rather watch Van Damme kick the shit out of the Sandman. That's my prerogative. But anyway, thanks for watching my review of Death Warrant. Although I will admit, kind of a lazy poster. Because I remember the VHS was pretty much this, but up close. Kind of lazy, but oh well. Maybe that's what all it takes. Simple, but better than the Double Impact DVD I have, cover-wise. So maybe, simple but effective. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.